I'm going to title this full moon in Gemini on December 15th, Own How You Feel. Because you know what most of us do? We don't own how we feel. Instead, we resist how we feel. We try to manipulate ourselves into feeling something different. We try to manipulate ourselves into making our feeling turn into something else. Like if we don't want to do something, we're like, well, I'll just do mindset work until I want to do it. Or, oh, I don't like doing this because my business isn't working out. I just have to do more things that I don't like to do to make my business work out. No, this full moon is about owning how you feel, not manipulating how you feel so you can find success, not manipulating how you feel so you can get validation and keep doing something. It reminds me of people who have a job and their job makes them miserable, but they get paid a lot of money. And so they feel like crap every single day, and everything in them doesn't want to go to that job, but they just keep reminding themselves, oh, this is how it's supposed to feel. Life is supposed to be hard. They keep validating how they feel. Well, you just have to be in it 5 more years and you'll make money and then you'll feel really good. You'll have the recognition, you'll have the success. You did the thing. You can be proud of yourself. We don't own how we feel in the moment. We manipulate how we feel. We convince ourselves that this is how we're supposed to feel. Life has to be hard. I can't do what I want to do. I can't really enjoy my life. Like, own how you feel. All right. Now that we have that out of the way, why am I saying this? Okay. We're entering rebellious times. We are entering new territory for humanity, and we are going to be pushed more than ever to own what we feel. Even if it's rebellious, even if it goes against the status quo. The South Node has been in Libra, the North Node has been in Aries. We have already been trained to really speak up. What do you want? What's the life you want? And we've been shedding societal expectations. We've been shedding keeping the peace. We've been shedding doing things based on other people. And so this full moon is almost like we're hitting this pressure point. Jupiter in Gemini is building a square to Saturn in Pisces. We had this similar aspect back in August. A lot of people felt blocked. It led to a lot of dismantling of old ways of doing things and entering into a new way of doing life. We're having the second round of that at this full moon, and you might be feeling a lot of heaviness and pressure around this full moon. You could feel blocked from growing and expanding. You just want to grow. You just want to think differently. You just want to learn new things. You want to bring new information to the world. You want to learn new information. You want to open up new opportunities for yourself, but you are feeling blocked and heavy. And a lot of the things you're doing right now, you could not want to do them at all. And that extra feels heavy. It's like this feeling in you that wants so badly to grow and expand, but everything in you doesn't like what you're doing. And what you're likely doing is you're doing exactly what I just said. You are not owning how you feel because we have not been trained by society to own how we feel. Listen, this is a practice for me too. But every time I own how I feel, even in the face of not getting validated by someone or not having success, life works out for me. I think about when I was hosting like 6 retreats in 2 years, and everyone told me, wow, you're like the retreat girl now. You just got to keep hosting retreats. And for the last 2 retreats I hosted, I kept hosting them because of that validation. I kept hosting them because people saw me that way, and I wanted to live up to those expectations. I thought, well, this is what I made for myself. This is what I built for myself. I was passionate about this. I'm not really passionate about it anymore, but I'm getting this validation. So I guess I have to keep doing it. After those 2 retreats that I went against how I feel, I didn't own how I felt. I like just hit this brick wall where I couldn't even bear to think about hosting another retreat. Nothing in me could get myself to do it. And I felt so heavy about it and I felt so bad about it. And I remember feeling so lost and like I didn't know what to do. I thought I was this retreat host, this whole identity that I built up, how everyone saw me, all the validation I was getting. And so I announced this was my last retreat for the foreseeable future. Everyone told me I was crazy because I trusted how I felt. I owned how I felt. I had a lot of friends tell me, oh my God, you just built all this up. Is this just like a self-sabotaging thing? And you want to know what I did over the next few months is I followed the fun. And that is what you're being asked to do right now. Mars is retrograde in Leo. Mars is having us reflect on what drives us to take action in Leo themes. Leo themes are fun, passion, play, validation, success, joy. Are you driven to take action because you're truly passionate about something? Or are you taking action on something because you believe it's going to give you success? Because you're currently getting validation? Because that is how people currently see you. And so you want to live up to that expectation. Ask yourself that. Because in this very situation that I'm talking about, I ended up following the fun and just going even deeper into astrology instead of hosting retreats the next 4 months after I decided to not host retreats anymore. And I rebelled against that identity. And that's how I became an astrologer. It snuck up behind me. I just followed the fun. I had no expectations. I chose to believe that I didn't know anything. And it opened up a whole new, abundant, joyful part of my life. Like, I fucking love doing astrology. I love helping people in this way. It's the most impactful way I've ever helped people. Oh, hands down. Am I currently in a new evolution, like a new rebellious thing bubbling up inside me at this full moon, just like you? Yes. Yes, I am. And that is a move that I already made this past week. And I'm sure there's more moves to come where I'm going to have to rebel against things I promised. You know, this is another thing. Like, did you promise certain things to certain people and no part of you wants to do it? No part of you. None. And you're having to manipulate yourself into convincing yourself to do this for other people. That's a sign. That's what Mars and Leo is having you reflect on right now. So I wanted to give this high level overview. We're going to go into all of the aspects of this full moon that really details why I'm saying that this is about owning how you feel, surrendering to how you feel, not resisting it, and being willing to be rebellious, being willing to have a shift in your values, being willing to make money in a new way, being willing to be rejected by other people, being willing for people to not see you the same way they've always seen you. And what are you getting in return? Peace, alignment, epiphany, breakthrough. That is the highest vibration of Aquarius. We're entering into this Aquarian age, these Aquarian times. And the only thing that gives you breakthrough is by you rebelling and trusting that strong inner voice, that feeling, the heaviness that you feel at this full moon. It's not because there's something wrong. It's not because life's hard. It's not because you're a piece of poop and you're never going to get your way. It's a message for you that you are doing something because either you want validation, you think it's going to give you success, it's giving you a false sense of security, you want to stay comfortable. You're doing something that is not true to you. And that is why you have that heaviness, not because there's something wrong with you. The universe wants you to own whatever you think is wrong with you. Because as soon as you own that thing that makes you different, that thing that you think goes against all of society, that makes you not worthy, like maybe you're a person who doesn't like to work that hard and you just want to do art that day and you won't allow yourself to own it. And what I see with like a lot of this astrology we're coming into is if you even practice owning that part of yourself, practice owning the part of yourself that you fear will be rejected, is when you'll feel settled in yourself, is when you'll have epiphanies and breakthroughs and magic will open up. And so this full moon it's like a breakthrough moment, a release of that, a tension moment of your truth bubbling up. And you can ignore it because you have this vision for yourself and you want to stick to it and you want to be seen in that way and you want that validation, even if it's not 100% connected to your truth. Or you could surrender to it and realize that there are things within you that you are refusing to acknowledge and that they want to be acknowledged. And that is actually the key to you feeling that peace, that love, that passion, that excitement to wake up every morning. Your path is not meant to be like anyone else. So that was a very long intro, but it felt important. Okay. So the full moon in Gemini, we have a full moon in Gemini when the sun in Sagittarius is opposite the moon in Gemini. It creates this tension. So the sun in Sagittarius is illuminating some truth. And because this moon is ruled by Mercury retrograde, and it's also in Sagittarius, this truth is likely something from the past, from you reflecting on the past, from you reflecting on all these things that you've done and really feeling into, is that in alignment with my truth? Was that giving me energy or was that draining me energy? That's a really great question to ask yourself right now with Saturn and Pisces squaring Jupiter and Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, where the sun is right now. I would reflect on the past. Is what you're currently doing giving you energy or taking away energy? And reflect on, when did you have energy? What kind of things do give you energy? What would give you energy right now? Maybe the thing that would give you energy right now is not doing these things that you think you need to do. And that could be really hard to admit to yourself. That could be you owning your feelings. And I'm not saying to not do anything. I'm saying that there is a message in your stillness. There is a message in your feelings. There is a message in your quietness. I'm not telling you to procrastinate on your whole life and not doing anything ever again. I'm telling you to listen and trust. Because another part of this Mars retrograde we'll be moving into in February and January is Mars will move from Leo into Cancer. And we're going to go from reviewing, doing like our motivations to do things from validation or how we're seen a certain way or success or something, to reviewing how we take actions based on trusting our feelings and how connected we are to our feelings and our emotions and our heart. We've been taught with Pluto in Capricorn over these last 20 years, like, fuck your heart, fuck your feelings. Your feelings will lead you to the wrong place. Your feelings won't lead you to your goals. So this full moon is about a truth being revealed to you through you reflecting on what's motivated you in the past. Have you really been motivated by passion and desire, or have you always been motivated by validation and being seen and having success? And because you've been motivated from that way, do you truly feel joy in your life? Or has it put you in this perpetual loop of draining your energy and continuously putting pressure on yourself and continuously feeling bad? If that is the case, there's a big sign at this full moon that you are going against you, what makes you unique. And you're living someone else's life. And that's a big message at this full moon. Are you living somebody else's life? Okay, so the Sabian symbol for this full moon is Gemini 24, because this moon is happening at 23 degrees of Gemini. So we always round up. And at Gemini 24, the Sabian symbol is children skating over a frozen village pond. This is the interpretation. So playfulness and exploration. This symbol evokes a sense of lightheartedness, joy, and innocence. It encourages embracing life's simple pleasures and finding joy in activities that bring a sense of freedom and ease. Are you allowing yourself to play, to have freedom and ease? To not even know what brings you joy, but to start with what doesn't bring you joy and stop doing that. If you are at a job you absolutely hate and you can't bear to get yourself to quit it right now because you have too many fears, that is okay. You got to bring some other joy in. At least rebel at work. At least do something that's going to make you happier at work. You got to make it work for you. Be playful, experiment, be willing to do something different. This is a very lighthearted full moon. It wants you to break the mold and try new things and be playful about it. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be the right answer. When we do something different, we get something different. Another key term for this Sabian symbol is adaptability and resourcefulness. The frozen pond suggests using available resources creatively and adapting to current conditions. It highlights making the best of circumstances, even if they initially seem limiting or temporary. That's kind of what I just said. I'm like, if you have to keep your job right now, even though you're freaking miserable, then start by rebelling at your job. If there's something at your job you don't want to do and it feels like horrible in your system, rebel and do it your own way. Literally, whatever's supposed to happen, you are here to live a joyful life. We are being pushed into you living authentically. That is where you're going to gain the most power over the next 20 years with Pluto and Aquarius. It's no longer about the rules. It's no longer about corporations, what they want, and following the rules. It's about rebelling. A lot of us are potentially going to get kicked out of communities over the next 20 years, and then we're going to find our most empowered community. But the way we do that is by owning you and rebelling and being willing to be rejected. Another part of the Sabian symbol is trust and connection. Ice requires trust, both in its ability to hold and in one's own ability to navigate it. This speaks to the faith in yourself and in the foundations you've built, as well as in the connections that support you. And then risk and reward. Skating on the ice symbolizes stepping into the unknown with a mix of courage and caution. It suggests a willingness to take risks for the sake of joy and growth while being mindful in potential pitfalls. It's just kind of reiterating everything I'm saying. Be willing to own how you feel and take that risk and trust it and bring something more joyful into your life. Rebel against the things you don't want. You don't have to do it, even if you think that you're getting validation for it, even if you're loyal to it and you think you have to. You know, in the Cosmic Co-Creatrix, this week I decided to just do a general energy report, and that was really hard for me to decide to do because I had promised giving energy reports every single day, but I just started feeling like it was too much information. Like I felt scattered in doing it. And if I felt scattered in doing it, people listening to it probably felt a little scattered listening to it. So I was thinking with Jupiter and Gemini and all of this information, what would be helpful? What feels good to me? What's my truth? Because I don't feel like I have energy for that right now. What do I think would be helpful for me and the group? Because I don't think an excessive amount of information is helpful to the group. And if anything, like I would convince myself that it would make me more worthy or make me get more validation or make me be seen as like a person who's overly generous if I just went against how I felt and continued to give them the stuff every day. But the stuff's not good if I give it every day because I'm not feeling it. And so it's really in the best interest for me and my whole community to wind back and be more concise and give the general energy report for the week and switch it up this week, rebel against how I've done things for the sake of me and others. So that's just an example of how I'm playing around with this energy this week, or did at least before this full moon in the beginning of the week, aka today as I'm recording this. It's Monday, December 9th. Okay. So let's get into some of the aspects for this moon. Number one, I mentioned this a little bit. Let's talk about Mercury in Sagittarius retrograde, trine Mars in Leo retrograde. Like I said, Mercury rules this moon and Mars rules the North Node. So there's something destined, there's something karmic being revealed to us at this full moon through us reflecting on what our belief systems are currently and in the past, and how they've either opened up opportunities for us or closed opportunities for us. Like, have we done things because we've been motivated by validation, how we want to be seen, all those different things? Have we closed off opportunities because we make meaning that people aren't going to like us if we own our truth? And reflect on that right now. That trine is helping you tap into owning how you feel and being real with yourself. Like if you are doing things out of validation, this is a time to cut that out. This is a time to think differently about how you want to live your life and how you want to make meaning out of life and the life you want to create and the vision you have for your life. You do get to have joy. Joy creates more joy. Like attracts like. Always remember that. If you keep putting pressure on yourself, you will attract more pressure. We think it's going to lead to success eventually. It never does. That's why people who have a lot of money, who work their whole life to have a lot of money, think it's going to bring them happiness, and it doesn't. Like just attracts like attracts like. Okay. Now, this is the interesting aspect too, is we have Lilith in Libra opposite Chiron in Aries. So Lilith in Libra is us feeling rejected in relationships. But Lilith is helping us gain empowerment through owning our truth in relationships, even if we get rejected. That's the power side of Lilith, is not giving a shit about getting rejected. It's trusting your intuition and what's going to create balance and harmony and peace in your life. F what other people say is going to create peace in your life. You know what's going to create peace in your life. That's Lilith. Lilith, it knows. You know what's best for your relationships, for you, because it all starts with you. You know what's best for every relationship you have in your life, your relationship with work, your relationship with money. It's all inside of you. The thing is, we listen to all these other people and we're afraid of being rejected by trusting ourselves. We're afraid of being rejected by our family by trusting ourselves, by our partner, by our best friend, by our community, by all these different people. And because Lilith in Libra is opposite Chiron in Aries, yeah, a part of this buildup of emotion we're having is we want to do things our own way. We want to rebel against how we're doing things. We don't want to do this thing at all. It doesn't feel right to us. It's not creating peace and harmony in our life. But can we do it? We're feeling achy and wounded around it. That's that opposition to Chiron and Aries is like, oh my God, is everyone going to leave me? Is this going to go to shit? Is this going to affirm like that I don't have enough worth? Can I not trust myself? Is there something wrong with me? You could be feeling that at this full moon. I don't want to sugarcoat it. This heaviness, though, I want to remind you, is here for a reason because it wants you to own your truth. If you're afraid of rebelling, it wants you to own that actually your rebellion is your power. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is about our power, but it's also about how we give our power away through control. If you control and make yourself fit in and make yourself be like everyone else, like the whole group, and you lose your individuality, you lose your power. So I wanted to name that. You could be feeling a little achy. That being said, we got Mars in Leo retrograde opposite Venus in Aquarius. Now, Mars, remember we talked about this a little bit ago. Mars is how we take action, and right now it's retrograde. We're reviewing how we take action in Leo themes. You know, another way people can take action with Mars in Leo is be overly generous and give a lot to people, and then be really pissed and angry when people don't reciprocate that generosity. That's the lower vibration of why we would take action with Mars in Leo. The higher vibration of why we would take action with Mars in Leo is giving to give, giving because you're abundant, giving because it's joyful, and not expecting anything in return. But also not expecting validation or being seen in a certain way. You are just giving and detached. So with Mars and Leo opposite Venus in Aquarius, you could be wanting to rebel in a relationship. You could be wanting to rebel with money, with your self-worth. You could be wanting to do something differently in a community, but because it's opposite Mars and Leo, you could be reflecting on, am I going to be rejected for this? Am I going to be kicked out of the group? Is everyone going to leave me? Am I going to not be able to reach all my hopes and dreams if I don't keep doing things this way? And so we're really like going back and forth between, do I get to own and rebel and do what makes me unique and really own what I feel? And why am I not doing that? Am I doing it because I want validation and to be seen in a certain way? And then the highest vibration of Mars and Leo is, can I validate myself and rebel with what I know is true, rebel with what I see is the higher perspective of how I can be in this community or live my life or be an individual so I can better humanity. So a great thing with this aspect to combine these two energies is, yes, own your truth, even if it's different from other people, even if it rebels against other people, even if other people don't get it. Even if you get kicked out of the group and have to find a new group, and with the Mars and Leo aspect, validate yourself. Realize that your power is going to come through self-validation, through you owning that is actually the most powerful thing you can do. Can you feel confident in rebelling against the status quo? Can you have fun in rebelling against the status quo? Can it bring you pleasure? Because you're finally surrendering into what actually feels good to you. If you start feeling guilt and shame for doing what feels truly good for you because you start questioning it, that's a good thing. That's you doing your Pluto and Aquarius work. You're facing your deepest fears. You're surrendering. You're not controlling. And that is going to help you find power in your hopes and dreams and really connect with the correct community you're supposed to be with, connect with your hopes and dreams. Now, the next aspect, we talked about Jupiter building a square to Saturn, and this is us feeling blocked. I said this is round 2 of what happened in August. So Jupiter wants us to grow and expand. It's wanting us to grow and expand in how we think about things, in our mindset, in how we share information, in how we teach, in travel and workshops we put on. It's wanting us to grow and expand with our siblings and our extended family and all those different things. But with it building a square to Saturn, we're blocking ourselves out of fear. Saturn is in Pisces, and it's the fear of what we can see right now. Saturn keeps us in the here and now with what's real, with what's right in front of us, and Pisces is what we can't see. And we're learning that we can sabotage ourselves by only trusting what's in the here and now. We can sabotage ourselves by sticking with this level of responsibility that might not be actually serving our soul. It could be serving this old paradigm and how we've always done things and making you feel like you're being responsible, but are you being responsible to your soul, to your energy, to what truly gives you energy. We've been really learning with Saturn and Pisces, if something drains your energy, it is sabotaging you. If you are doing something out of fear, it is sabotaging you. If you think anything is outside of you and it's that person's problem and not yours, you're projecting, you're being shown that that's blocking you. These are all Pisces things that are blocking us. And so the key here with doing your Saturn and Pisces work is surrendering into what gives you energy, surrendering into unconditional love for yourself and others, surrendering into the unknown. That's a big theme for this full moon. And honestly, the next 2 years, when the North Node goes into Pisces, you will be rewarded by surrendering into the unknown. That is like a huge theme for the North Node moving into Pisces, because the North Node is a karmic destined point. It is the future, is where humanity has been planned to go. It's where we're meant to go. And so we're going into the unknown. We're leaning into more mystical, energetic times. We're closing out an old chapter. Pisces is karmic endings. We're ending this old way of doing things. So get a head start. And finally, we have Uranus and Taurus sextile Neptune in Pisces. This is that shakeup in your values. You thought that you had to be consistent and be responsible in this way and do all these things if you wanted to find success. And this full moon is coming up with, like, just own what you feel and surrender and value what you feel. Trust what you value. Implement in new values. You don't have to be overly loyal just for validation. If that used to be your value, to be like, well, I'm consistent because then people see me as a consistent person. And maybe part of why you're consistent, because people see you as a consistent person, isn't really in alignment with your truth. Part of that is aligned with ego validation. Maybe you like being seen as a consistent person. You are fine overextending yourself for other people so that they see you as a consistent person, so that they know that you're there for you because you want that validation. And at this full moon, you could be breaking free from that. You could be like, no, these are my new values. This isn't aligned with my values, so I'm not going to do this. This could be a breakthrough of taking your time. Especially with Mars retrograde, we're going to feel like we're stuck in the mud right now. It is hard to take a lot of action. You're being slowed down. Uranus and Taurus is showing us that our power is in slowing down. Our power is in the presence. We align with our authenticity, with our authentic path and our authentic truth when we slow down, when we're not in a rush. That is what Uranus and Taurus has been teaching us. With a sextile to Neptune and Pisces, a sextile is an opportunity that we have to take. And Neptune and Pisces is helping us surrender and trust in magic and trust in the unknown and trust in faith. So if you slow down and you connect with your senses and you connect with your body and you connect with how you feel and what you value, and you really allow that to speak to you, you allow that to give you clues into the next best step you're supposed to make. We don't need to have the whole vision, the whole plan laid out at this full moon. All you need to connect to is what you value and what feels like the next best step that's going to feel grounded and is going to help you connect back to yourself and your truth and stop bypassing yourself and your truth. Uranus has been in Taurus because we've been so in the mind. We've been opposite. We've been in scorpionic energy. That's the opposite of Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus is helping us get more into our body and have our body speak to us. When our body and our mind are connected, we get that soft, strong knowing, the unshakable knowing, and it feels different than a thought. So what will be really good for this full moon too is breath work, meditating, clear your mind, be willing to think less and allow the truth to bubble up more so you can connect to your body more, so you can connect to what your body and your feelings are trying to tell you. We all know what that feels like. When you're in like a yoga class, for example, we've all taken a yoga class where you go in feeling like poop and you're doing yoga for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever. And at one point, you just have this clarity that comes through, this knowing of like, oh my God, I was so upset over this thing. And this is actually true. And then you feel better and then you leave so much more present and you're fine. Do some yoga at this full moon. So that is my interpretation for the full moon in Gemini. This is going to play out over the next 6 months till we get to the new moon in Gemini in June. And this is going to be so interesting because by the time we get to June, we're gonna have a lot of planets switching signs, generational planets moving into Aries. Saturn will have moved into Aries. Neptune will have moved into Aries. this is new time building. Like that's going to be our new identity we're figuring out. So right now, be willing to surrender into the unknown, be willing to own what you feel, be willing to rebel and validate yourself and run away from validation from outside sources because it's been keeping you stuck. Okay, if you like this video, hit the like bell, subscribe, leave a heart, comment, let's be friends. And I will see you guys on the next video. Love you. Mwah.